Hello, my name is Chris, and this is my informative speech for Speech Communications B12. And I just want to start by saying that today's speech is going to be about effective dating as a single parent. Now, let me first tell you that I have 3 kids, and I've been a single parent for about 4 years now. Now, when I first became single, the first thing that I did was I immediately got into another relationship. And I got into this relationship, I thought this man was going to be like the man of my dreams. He was like to me, he was like so awesome. But as it turns out, he was far from what I thought that he was. And he actually was like, he hurt me even more than my ex-husband hurt me. And then what happened was, as I started to look at myself and I started to ask myself, well, why am I the way that I am? Why do I keep picking the men that I keep picking? And so I started to, I went on I guess a journey where I started to look at myself and figure out what it is that was wrong with me. Now, the first thing that I discovered as being a single mother is that I needed to take time to actually heal from the hurts and the pains that were causing me to make these bad decisions. So I feel like if you don't know what it is that you're doing wrong, then you're doomed to keep doing wrong. If you don't know what it is that makes you attracted to the men that you're attracted to, then you'll continue to be attracted to those men. So it takes time for you to, learn yourself, learn what you really want and what you don't want. It takes time to mature in your singleness and learn how to depend upon yourself and learn how to grow as a single mother and learn how to place your dependency on other things besides just having a man in your life. And also, I learned that as I was, introducing different men into my life, that it was taking away some of the effectiveness when it comes to teaching my children, because I was no longer able to tell my daughter, this is how you should be, or this is how you should be, when she's looking at my example and I'm not that way. So as a single mother, it's important for us, especially since there are so many negative stereotypes when it comes to single, kids that are raised in single parent homes. It's so important for us to, to be concerned about the exampleship that we have for our children. So when we begin to lose our exampleship before them, then our words are not as effective as they would be. Another thing that you will hear often is that, even when you come into the different relationships and you haven't given yourself time to know these men, that sometimes we put our kids in danger. And sometimes what we'll find is that, a lot of these men will actually harm our children. They may molest our children. Some of them even will physically abuse our children. I read a story here not too long ago in a newspaper where a man was arrested because he had gotten into a fight with a single mom, and he left the residence, and then the single mom left the residence. Well, he decided to come back. Well, the single mom had left her 11-year-old child there in the home, and the gentleman took out his anger and frustration on the child, actually breaking her knuckles. And so that it's important to us that when we allow a man into our home where we live, where our children live, it's like, I like to think of it like a sanctuary, and we allow a man into our sanctuary without really knowing him, then we're kind of stuck with what we get, because sometimes they refuse to leave, sometimes they create all kinds of chaos when it is time for them to leave. And then, but if they're on the outside, it's a different situation. We still maintain our power, but sometimes when we let them in, then we give our power to them. Another thing that we have to think about is the lessons that we're teaching our children as we're bringing different men into our lives and not really paying attention to who these men are that we're bringing into lives. Not so much that it doesn't have to be like that we're bringing 5 or 6 or all these multiple men. So it could just be the character of the men that we're bringing into our children's lives. Because when you bring a man into your life, you're saying to your child, if it's a son, this is who I want you to grow up to be like. This is who I want you to imitate as you grow up. And so a lot of times we don't really think about that. And so we have a man who refuses to work, we have a man who's rude, and have a man who is unfaithful, and this is the example that we set before our children. And if we have a daughter, that sometimes we tell our daughter, hey daughter, this is the type of man that you should have in your life, because this is the type of man that I have in my life. Well, when we look at these men, is this really the type of man that we would want our daughter to have in her life? And so it takes time for us to really think about those things, how it affects us as women and how it affects our children. And then also going on with that. Okay, so as you can see, it's worth the extra time that it takes for, to find someone who is, who would meet the standards. It doesn't matter how long that we remain in our singleness, because once our singleness is over, then we'll have this for the, we'll have that marriage or that relationship, indefinitely. But if we don't take the time, then we are in a relationship, it breaks up, and we cause ourselves more pain, more setbacks, which makes us even more ineffective when it comes to making decisions. So, as a single mother, it's important for us to, weigh all our options when it comes to who we will allow in our lives. Amen. Okay, single mothers may want to be in a relationship because of the stress involved in parenting alone, but it's best for mothers to wait so that her and her children will have a healthy life for the long term. Again, I want to thank you. I'm Chris, and this is my informative speech on single mothers and dating. Thank you.
Okay. So,